In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys the new top 2 best builds in NBA 2K22 Next Gen. But first, if you're looking for somebody to grind your badges, hit up Elite Badge Grinding. They're super fast and 100% legit. Click their links in the description and let them know Hambo sent you. Also, if you guys could do me a quick favor and like and subscribe, it helps me out so much. It's 100% free and takes 5 seconds. I'm going to start things off with the best all-around big man build and then move to the best guard build. Starting things off with this big man build, for the position, you can either go with power forward or center. But for this build, I think I'm going to make it at the center position, but it can definitely run power forward if you wanted to. So next, moving on to the body settings. The biggest decision that you're probably going to make is if you want to be shorter than 6'9" or taller than 6'9". If you're shorter than 6'9", you can get the medium speed jump shots, and also you won't have restricted jump shot bases. However, if you go taller than 6'9", then you'll be able to get the big man contact dunk package. But for this build, I think I'm going to go with 6'10", since I've showed you guys a lot of 6'9" builds recently. Next, for the weight, you're going to want this at 221 pounds. This is overall the best weight because you're going to be significantly faster, but also at the same time, you're going to have an 88 interior defense and gold brick wall. And then moving on to the wingspan, you're going to want this at 7'7". This is just all around the best wingspan. So starting things off with the finishing attributes, first for the close shot, you're going to want to bump this up to an 86. For the driving layup, also you're going to want this at an 86. Max out the driving dunk at an 83, bump up the standing dunk to a 90, and then you're going to want the post control at a 91. This 90 standing dunk is very important to give you the elite big man contact dunk package. And the 83 driving dunk will also give you gold limitless takeoff, which is in my opinion a very important badge. Overall, the finishing and post scoring on this build is just going to be very, very good. And the reason why I like 6'10" builds so much is that they have a good driving dunk and at the same time have elite big man contact dunks as well. So moving on to the shooting badges, first for the mid-range, you're going to want to max this thing out at an 82. And for the three-pointer, you're also going to want to max this out at a 77. You'll have in total 23 shooting badges. This build can definitely green very, very consistently. It's going to be an absolutely deadly popper. You're not going to be getting bailed out by that many whites, but if you're able to time your jump shot correctly, you will be able to shoot. Next, for playmaking, you're going to want to bump up your pass accuracy to an 86. You'll have 12 playmaking badges, Hall of Fame break starter, and gold bullet passer. For the defense/rebounding badges and attributes, you're going to want a maxed out interior, a 75 perimeter, a 72 steal, a 97 block, an 83 offensive rebound, and finally for the defensive rebound, bump this up to a 91. You'll have in total 34 defensive/rebounding attributes and badges, and your defense is absolutely going to be elite. You have a 97 block with Hall of Fame Intimidator and Hall of Fame Rim Protector. As well, you have a 91 defensive rebound, so you can get gold rebound chaser. And then finally, you also have an 88 interior defense, so you can get gold brick wall. And then moving on to the physicals, first for the speed, you're going to want this at a 72. For the acceleration, you're going to want this at a 70. You're going to want the strength at a 63, the vertical at a 75, and the stamina at a 97. These physicals are overall very good. Also, you need a 75 vertical to get elite big man contact dunks. You do have 1 rating left. I would just recommend throwing it on to steal. That's probably the most useful thing you can throw it on. This build in total has 101 badges without upgrading free throw. And as a park build, this build's going to be insane. It's going to be able to catch lobs, dunk on everyone, post score if you needed to. It's going to be able to shoot consistently, whether that's out of the pick and pop or just sitting in the corner. It has very good passing and as well just insane defense and rebounding. This is going to be a very good park build, but if you plan on playing Rec Center or Pro-Am, obviously you're going to want some free throw. So what I'd recommend doing is dropping down your steal 1 rating and dropping down your post control to an 82. You can then get a 90 free throw and you're going to be making free throws very consistently. So moving on to the takeovers, for the first takeover, I recommend going with See the Future. After all, you're a center big man build. And then next, for the secondary takeover on a popper build, I'd recommend going with Spot Up Precision. And as you guys can see, I built a 2-way facilitator, which is honestly kind of a surprising name. Moving on to the guard build. So now moving on to what is in my opinion the best guard build. For this build, I'd recommend going with the point guard position, since definitely this is going to be your primary ball handling build. So on to the body settings. First for the height, I'd recommend going with 6 foot. This is going to help you out so much to get better shooting and just be way faster. And at the same time, you're going to be able to hold your own at the defensive end. For the weight, I'd recommend going with 164. And then for the wingspan, I'd recommend leaving this default at 167. I've seen people drop down the wingspan a ton to get better shooting, but I want this build to be able to run 2s, and having good defense is very important on the 2s. Starting things off with the finishing attributes, first for the close shot, I recommend putting this at a 70. For the driving layup, you're going to want this at a 75. For the driving dunk, you're going to want this at an 86. And in total, you're going to have 21 finishing badges. The finishing on this build obviously isn't crazy. You have an 86 driving dunk, so you're going to get pro contact dunks as well as the small contact dunk package, which is in my opinion better than the elite contact dunk package. But at the same time, on a point guard build, you really shouldn't be rim running. Dunking honestly really isn't that OP this year, especially when compared to last year. And with just how easy shooting is, the meta has become 3-point hunting. So overall, you're just not really going to be rim running much on a point guard. So moving on to the shooting attributes and badges. First, for the mid-range, you're going to want this at an 81. And for the three-pointer, you're going to want to max this thing out at a 90. You'll have in total 29 shooting badges, which is quite good. Definitely on this build, you're just not going to be missing. So moving on to the playmaking attributes and badges. First, for the pass accuracy, bump this up to an 86. For the ball handling, you're going to want this at an 89. And for the speed of the ball, you're going to want this at a 94. You'll have in total 33 playmaking badges, which is quite good, as well as pretty much every single important playmaking badge on at least gold. Moving on to the defensive / rebounding attributes and badges. For the perimeter defense, bump this up to an 88. For the steal, bump this up to a 90. And then finally, for the block, you're going to want this at a 57. You're going to have in total 29 defensive / rebounding badges, as well as gold clamps and Hall of Fame interceptor. And then finally, moving on to the physicals. For the speed, bump this up to an 89. For the acceleration, max this thing out at a 94. For the vertical, bump this up to an 85. And finally, for the stamina, bump this thing up to a 97. The physicals on this build are quite good, and you're going to be able to speed boost very fast with a 94 acceleration and a 98 acceleration with Gym Rat or the Gatorade drills. Additionally, you need an 85 vertical to get the small contact dunk package. And finally, the reason why our speed is below a 90 is because it helps you moving around off ball and doesn't really help you out too much when dribbling. This build in total has 104 badges, which is nuts. I mean, honestly, what can't this build do? Its finishing is pretty good. It's going to be shooting the lights out of the building. Its playmaking is overall crazy, and its defense is pretty decent. If you do want free throw on this build, what I'd recommend doing is dropping down your stamina a little bit. You can drop this down as much or as little as you want to, and then drop down the close shot to a 62. If you do this, you can then get a 90 free throw, which is very, very good. And then moving on to the takeovers. For the first takeover, I'd recommend going with limitless range. And then for the secondary takeover, I would also recommend going with limitless range. These takeovers are overall just broken. You can shoot from anywhere, knock down pretty much every single shot, whether it's green or whether it's white. And then as you guys can see, I built a two-way 3-point playmaker, which is overall just a really cool name and also makes a ton of sense. Thank you guys so much for sticking around until the end of the video. I hope you did enjoy it or found it helpful. And if you did, drop me a like and subscribe to the channel. There's a dribble tutorial as well as a gameplay video on the screen right now. Click them. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, and I'm out. Peace.